All right, now, professional musicians, they might disagree with what it is that I'm just about to tell you, but let me tell you from my experience in teaching for years and playing for years and working with students, what I've realized is that the notes that you play are less important than how you play them. And what I mean by that is, imagine I'm just playing like some kind of boogie kind of thing. All right, so now let's say I'm doing that, and you're out and you're dancing with some friends or whatnot, and I'm playing like, yeah. Can you hear my point there? That obviously, if I'm not playing it with good rhythm, you're not going to be able to dance to that. You're not going to enjoy that. You're going to be like looking at me like, what's wrong with the piano player? When you're improvising, especially as a beginning improviser, too much emphasis is put on the right notes. And if I could stop that in people right now, I'd say, don't worry so much about the right notes. I'm not saying that right notes, or what I like to say instead of the right notes, are notes that sound better than others, because there's really no such thing as a right note. Any note can be a right note, depending on how you approach it, where you get into it, what you do with it, and whatnot. But I'd rather you not think so much about trying to get the right notes or the notes that sound good, and more importantly, think about just plowing right through with your improvisation. That is hands down the most difficult thing. In playing piano, there's two parts. There's two places where just forging ahead is really difficult. One, reading sheet music. Okay, when reading sheet music, it's so easy to like, oh, let me, like you stop at the beginning of the measure and whatnot. Just forging ahead and having a nice even flow is extremely difficult when reading sheet music. Right? And it's a skill that you have to learn. Exactly the same thing with improvisation. Improvisation is about just doing it. All right? You just gotta do it. If you hit the wrong notes, you just keep going. You don't stop. As soon as you stop, everyone around you, everyone who's listening is like, oh, hey, they made a mistake. Okay? You have now just brought attention to your mistake. Let me explain it, or let me demonstrate rather what it is I mean. If I do, I'm going to play some chords. Actually, no, I'm not even going to do that. I'm going to keep exactly the same chords. Just so you see that, hear that I'm getting into the Our Love Is Here to Stay. So you can hear that some of the notes are right, but man, some of those other notes, what the heck are you playing there, right? I'm playing what would be considered the wrong notes. Listen to now what happens if I play all of the right notes. You can hear that, well, yeah, I'm playing the right notes, but guess what? When I'm not playing them with good flow and good time, who cares if you're playing the right notes? It still doesn't sound good. So what I want you to do is I want you to kind of flip your thinking for a minute. Instead of working on what notes to play, I want you to work on just playing notes. Now, how do we do that? There's a couple of different exercises that you can work on. One is just working your chromatic scale. Great scale to work on. Right? And then you can start hands together. You can see my fingering. I'm not going to take the time right now to break it down. I think you can see it. I'll go slowly. Middle finger. Obviously, don't do that. I'm just doing it so you can see what I'm doing. Then try going the opposite direction. Try doing that. You know, the two notes. Just get real comfortable playing around with that chromatic scale. Now, the next exercise, this is really kind of difficult for students. What I want you to do is play random notes, but I want you to do them in, you know, like a sense of time. You know, it should be nice and flowing. I mean any notes. Like I can do, okay? I can do something like that, except that doesn't sound melodic. It doesn't sound like a like an improvisation. So I want you to think melodic. I want you to think like some scalar kind of stuff. And when I say scalar, I mean the notes are close together. It looks like a scale. And then some kind of chordal stuff, meaning that it's not a specific chord. It just means that the notes are spaced out a little bit. So what I'm talking about here is most part, it's just quarter notes and eighth. Actually, it's just mostly eighth notes. I did little triplet stuff. Then what you can do is bring both hands in. Now, you might say to me, hey, Willie, ooh, that's a little bit too outside for my ears. I don't like the sound of that. It's all fine and dandy, okay? You don't have to like the sound of it. I want you to do it, though, okay? Because this will help loosen up between the two hands. It will help you start to create a fluid motion in your improvisation. If you can do that with notes that sound bad, all right, then once you start to understand notes that sound better, then it's going to be a lot easier for you because you're used to playing comfortably. Hey, I can sit down and play stuff that sounds terrible. And I could do it like with real, you know, hey, I'm meaning to do this. Now the next thing you can do is start to do chordals. I talk about this in the chordals and pentatonic lesson. Great lesson if you want to get some of these advanced stuff. Check out this. If I do those chord shells down here, right, and I just play chordals coming down. Chordals is just a fourth and a fourth. I don't have too much time to explain it, but you can get that in the chordals lesson. I just played chordals, going right down chromatically while doing those chords in the left hand. Now, you play that, someone's going to be like, oh yeah, man, that's pretty hip. I like the sound of that. Am I thinking about what the theory is behind it? No, I'm just playing this pattern down. My point is that it's that constant structure, and that's actually a musical term as well. That constant structure in which, in music, you're thinking constant structures, same type of chord, you know, no matter where you are, right? But here I'm talking about a constant structure in terms of fluidity. I'm just constantly just fluid motion, moving right through, trying to create a line, trying to create a line, trying to create a line, right? That's what I want you to focus on. Try and get those lines together. So we've done all this other stuff in which we're in the box. Now this is a little bit outside of the box. Try getting these different lines together, creating your own lines. You're going to start to realize that, well, one, even if it doesn't transfer over into your improvisation, let's talk worst case scenario. It doesn't go into your improvisation. Well, guess what? You're still getting more fluid in your fingertips, right? Because now you're thinking real linear, and your brain is starting to loosen up because now you're just randomly thinking about, well, what notes am I going to play here? Okay? So you will see a definite improvement in the fluidity of your playing, being able to get that nice linear motion together. All right? It's a great way also of warming up as well. All right, so that's it for the lesson. I hope you'll join me at the site, pianowithwillie.com, and I'm probably over my 10 minutes, so I'll see you at the site, and I hope you enjoyed this series of lessons. Thanks a lot.